Well, today, I'm getting on almost 77, so I think I'll just kind of go ahead and tell you a few things, um, which you can listen to, I'm asking you, but, tell you a few things about how it is, how things really are. So the thing is, um, there is a God, and there are many people on the earth who have strong proof of that. Um, uh, and there are quite a few who don't seem to get it. There are reasons for that. But there's a God, and the way things are supposed to be working here, and do work that way when there's no obstruction, is that God creates you and gives you all kinds of instruments and things that you need to wherever you may be on the other side or here, and everything that you need. And at least here, Um, there's a variable which is that you can kind of get with the program where you have some kind of discretion. You can up to a certain point. You can use things, use the tools that you have in a good way, or you can use them in a bad way, or you can use them even better in the way that God guides you to use them. And of course, so that's what you'd want. You'd want to be guided. You want to be an active, working system that is guided by the one who created you, and that way you'd have the most fun, learn the most, be the freest, and you know, experience the best possible life. Hmm? And so that's what we look for in order to receive the guidance of God in a working system. You have to commit. It's a process, so you can't just because originally as a child it's given to you, you're just automatically guided by God. I think a lot of you, you're guided by God. You feel this way, you feel that way. You don't hesitate. You don't consider. If you're happy, you're happy, and if you're sad, you're sad, and you express it. Um, and a lot of it is from your own being. But as you get all the stuff, the influences from the earth come in on you, then later it becomes a matter of really basically getting back to that, having that guidance come in and allowing it to operate freely in your system and not suppress it or not pay attention to it or worry about it or anything like that. Just follow it. So, in that process, in that way of things, then every creature who is able to do that is going to have an excellent life. However, being a bit of a troublemaker, I suppose, looking at some more difficult subjects, and then of course, it goes without saying, if everyone would follow the guidance, was able to follow the guidance of God, there would be a wonderful world there. Because God, in the guidance of God, there is no harm to His other creatures. There's no harm to you. There's no harm to anything. That's not the way God operates. God is not destructive. So, and destructive of good things and positive. So, but then there becomes another thing. Things get complicated because when you come here, and let's say that you're lucky enough to know, to experience, have a direct connection with the Almighty. As much as a created creature. I mean, you can have a direct connection, but that doesn't mean you are, uh, close chums with the Almighty and understand Him, and He, because God is apparent. It seems that God is the one who created you. So how could you understand God? I mean, come on. Still, even the children that we say we create, of course we don't, because God does it, shows it through us how easy it is. But we love our children quite a bit. And God loves you, one could say, reasonably, even more. So, but then you have the issue, don't you, that suppose that you're able to do all these things, and still and have a good life. Well then, and I guess I'm really being, I'm looking at my own things that I look at. So now you have but you have a bunch of people around you who aren't able to do this. And the thing is, who aren't there yet, haven't been lucky, or whatever, or God hasn't brought them to that point. So then, it's a very interesting thing. How do you deal? I mean, it's easy enough to deal with somebody who also follows the guidance of God. I might say easy. You can have an animal or a horse or a dog or something, and relatively speaking, it's pretty easy to deal with them. And they give you quite a bit, love, and or they're interesting, or whatever it is that they give, and you give them as well, and it's all pretty easy, relatively easy. Unless you have a pesky animal. But I'm not going to go there, but yeah. Okay, so how would you deal with all these people who don't quite get it? They think you're nuts. They think they know. They have the self. The way of the self, as Christ said. These people follow their self. Well, that self, would like to destroy you. It wants to have its way. The self possesses a person. The person is self-possessed. It will ultimately, basically try and destroy you. They don't admit that God exists. They exist. They are the one. Wow, So how do you deal with these people? Well, you deal with them in an aware, happy state, and as best you can, as however God shows you how to deal with them. And the experience that I've had, and I think this would be the general experience, is that you kind of bypass the lost parts of them, and you go to the good parts, and you relate to those parts. You reinforce those parts. You stay positive with these people. You love your enemies with Christ. Because if you're come along a bit, and God has been lucky, and then you have a feeling of love for mankind. You don't have any other feeling. You have a feeling of love for mankind. So, for instance, if you were to lead a country and follow the guidance of God, it would be great, because you would have a feeling of love. It would just be there. It's something that God gives you. If you come along to wake up one morning and you have a feeling of love for mankind. It doesn't go away. It's a working thing. It works every day when you see the clerks and visit with people and everything else. That feeling is there. It may be mitigated by pressures and forces and fears and everything else, which of course you're trying to give into, or you don't ultimately give into. But they can pressure you pretty good. So you just have to be positive with them. But I think the point that it would be a good point to make is that you don't need to be concerned about them. You don't need to feel that you must help these people come to the right way of things, because really God is in charge of that, isn't He? You certainly don't want to stand in the way, and you want to be on the side of that. But you unless you're called upon. I mean, I've been called upon many times, and I'm happy and it's the best when you're helping other people, when you're assisting others, helping making their life a little bit more together, more regular, um, getting them out of a tough spot or something. Why, that's a happy time for you because you're doing, as you could say, you're being guided. You're a slave of the Almighty. You're doing His work. You feel great. That's the best. Very good. Yes, let's go. I'll help you do that. Okay. But so you can be a positive influence on the earth, and to the extent So, in the matter of governing, I was just reading some of Rousseau's social contract, and it's very, he's like an atheist. I mean, it's like he talks about God every now and then, but he's basically, reason is his God. Reason is his mind. He has a good mind, and he makes good points. Oh, and if this and that wouldn't be that, would it? That wouldn't work, would it? So this would have to be. So it had to be like this. And he's sufficiently intelligent that it's at least entertaining. If you feel kind of go along, if you have intelligence of that kind, you tend to kind of that's. But on the whole, it's interesting because he points out the more harsh realities of things, powers and struggles, and who's the mightiest, who's the strongest, and how they rule by might in one way or another, and then people become slaves. So, but in the best way of things, from our point of view, now the Almighty, I'm sure, has a different, it's a different kind of point of view. It's similar. I mean, there's similarities, and we can't really know God. God is, too much for us. What we do know of God is that God is just the best thing you could hope for, constant, always there. Kind, merciful, giving. Whoa, lots and lots of good things. Doesn't give up on you. It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. But, from the point of view of a human being, a real human being, a true human person who has hopefully a human soul. I don't claim, do I claim to have a human soul? Maybe partly. I don't really know. These things are kind of up there. I don't know for sure. But I know that I like to behave just naturally in the ways that are associated with being human. I like to help other people, and I love other people. I love God, but I have a feeling of love for other people. I like to make them happy, or give them a good, get some, and contribute positively to their lives if I can. So anyway, from the point of view of the human thing, the way of it is that the one, for instance, right now Elizabeth Warren is running for president. And Elizabeth Warren is the one that's guided by God to run for president. So there's a feeling about Elizabeth Warren, and she's certainly a lovable person, and seems well fitted for the job. But anyway, that's the one. And before that, it was Hillary Clinton. Hillary was the one. But no, you had to have Smith talking to Obama. That didn't really work out that well for us, did it? But we didn't follow the guidance of God. We followed the self and the whatever we followed. We didn't pay attention to the feelings. If you ever look at your inner feeling about Obama, for example, it was not good, dark. It's like they work for the establishment, make things better, but worse. It'll be a mess. And of course it was. But if you looked at Hillary Clinton in the film, it was like, well, she's smart, she's noble in some ways. She'll keep things together and move us in the right direction. You have to consider all the different things going on. Have somebody move us in the right direction is not nothing. It might not be a big outstanding, gosh, we're going to give the people everything they need, but just to move us in the right direction is already something. That would have been the case. That would have been nice. I don't know what you learn. I guess you learn from experience. You keep doing this, eventually you decide, well, maybe, I don't know, that, let's just follow the will of God first. So if you want to follow the will of God in this election, vote for Elizabeth Warren. And you can see here how this works because, Bernie, there's Bernie. Bernie's a good guy, he's got all the right ideas and everything. But, Bernie is not coming from that place. He's like, he knows the right things. He has some of this, but he would cause too much dissension and conflict, maybe even a civil war, if he got elected. And he would be brutalized by his enemies. He's an old man. And it would be a mess. It would be difficult. It wouldn't be, it's like you thought with Obama, oh, finally we got somebody who represents the people. And you would think the same thing about Bernie. Only we could get Bernie to be president, boy, wouldn't that be, but you gotta take a look around a little bit and be a little bit more wider in your aspect. Bernie would be the sworn enemy of many factors in this country, whereas Elizabeth would be able to kind of deal with things in a smart, intelligent way and get us quite a bit of it would be great. It would be great. So, vote for Elizabeth. You'll feel good, and which is always a sign that you're doing the right thing when you feel good about something that you did. And you can confuse yourself and say, well, I feel good because, of myself and I did something good. And you can tell yourself all sorts of stories, but the reality is you feel good because you did something that was right. And you feel it. It doesn't come from any consideration that you just feel good. Actually, you, not your heart or your mind or anything else, but you yourself feel good when you do something that is correct. So in that way of government, when a person is guided by God, you have a president. I'm not going to say that Elizabeth is always going to be able to be guided by God. But she's the best one. But anyway, when a person is guided by God, because the nature of the guidance of God is that when someone says something that, wow, look at this thing, right, the screensaver on me. When someone says something that comes from the right source, good source, guidance from God, um, there will be agreement with that. Yeah, that seems like a good idea. Only the diehards will. But I mean, in general, there's, yeah, no, yeah, do that. Without thinking. Because thinking is highly overrated, and thinking is a limited thing. It's limited. And this is where reading Rousseau, God, I could write a whole book about his essay. And I can only read it because it's so much intellectual, so much mental stuff. Good mental, but I mean still, you know, I mean, it starts simple. So when that would be the case, then other people who are able to follow guidance or who love God or worship God would say, yeah, no, that's right, I feel good about that. And that would lead us, what kind of things would it lead us to? Well, it would lead us to helping others overseas and having less enemies. It would lead us to making our own people able to have good sustenance through, work and jobs that were noble and fair and stuff. Putting in solar panels, making everything solar here. Wouldn't that be fun? And stuff like that. Of course, here we have, as always, the human being has its enemies. Although human beings are the only ones that have enemies, but animals don't have enemies. They have things that eat them and stuff like that, but they're not enemies. It's all part of the world and how that works. So they're not, they don't know anything about death, generally, I've heard. So they just go on and if they die, then hopefully they go to a good place in the animal world. Anyhow, so it's unfortunate to have enemies, and so we, as human beings, we don't. It's not good to have enemies, so you try not to make enemies and have enemies. That's a primary thing. Don't make an enemy. Why? Because these people. I mean, you can if you think about, if you really think about having an enemy, you know that a human being is an enemy is really something. There's no end of things they can do to get a bunch of other people, cause you real grief. It's better not to make enemies. It said that the Almighty actually doesn't have any enemies. If he had an enemy, because if he had an enemy, he would destroy it instantly. So, what we need is more people to accept the gift that God has given out in this latest period of time, the latest thing, the best gift, how to actually be able to reach a point where you can have guidance and everything else by basically take yourself to the shop. Now, the fascinating thing about it is that God is so cool that He can keep you working at your job, having a regular life, and at the same time being kind of in the spiritual hospital. You're getting repair. Repairs that take place include cleaning out all the junk that's in your system, which because you're not a functioning washing machine at this point, you don't wash out your own things, you get really dirty. Filled with all kinds of things, and then in that mess that is you, why things get out of place, so the mind gets in the darkness and thrash you out. The first thing you know, the mind gets the upper hand, or the heart gets the upper hand, the passions take over, and the person, generally speaking, some lower creature is in control of your life. Unless you get the strength, you go to God. Then that's different. God can, instead of having a lower creature, God can come in. Then pretty soon, after some time, maybe 10, 15 years or whatever it takes. But it moves right. It moves as fast as it can. For the present generation of man is, I'm not going to go anyway, but you're descended from these people. All the errors and the good things that they've done, affect the DNA, whatever it comes down to, and how you are, and what gets chosen in that DNA to work. So you can see, for instance, that some of the DNA on the Earth is, quite a bit more sanguine, more sane, and everything. You could find examples of people who are pretty well put together. They're pretty balanced. They're pretty moderate but successful, and so forth and so on. I don't mean materially. They're successful in their lives. They're learning things. They're not harming others. They're helpful. They're the kind of people we like to know. And then there are many other people that things have gotten out of place in their sense of who they are, their identity, their ego, or whatever you call the I thing. Here's how I feel about it. Blah, blah, blah. All this kind of illegitimate stuff takes over, and you've got something that isn't really much fun. But for some reason, you don't want the gift. It's like somebody gave you the new car, a new Tesla. No, I don't want it. I don't believe in electric cars. Well, you're an idiot. I mean, I'm sure you have your reasons, but still, the electric car is, a lot of fun. Everybody who gets one says they love them. They're a lot of fun. Everybody who ever got an electric car, mostly, I'm sure there were a few, but mostly the general person says, yeah, this is great. It's quiet. I don't have to pay all that money for getting these parts fixed, and it's good for the environment. And I feel good having it. I like to drive. It's fast. Well, the gift is the same thing. It's fast. It's quick. It doesn't take a lot of traipsing off to some building somewhere to worship. You can do the whole thing at home. Do it yourself at home. I mean, you don't do it yourself. God does it. You just allow God to work on you. You don't have to have a big belief system. Okay, I'm giving my belief, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do any of that. You just have to be sentient, where a person is willing to have the courage, I guess. I don't know how much courage it takes. It doesn't take a lot of courage, because the courage to wait and see if you're moved, and then to follow that movement. And since the movement comes from God, which you will learn from experience, you can also be told that when you are not acting, or you're pretty calm and relaxed, then the thing that has power over you and can move you is the one Almighty God, and nothing else. This is a pretty simple thing. I don't think I want to get into a bunch of demonstrations here. I'll wear myself out. But, for instance, suppose that you're passionate about something and you're saying, well, this is really what I want to do, and I want to do this kind of work. And what is the first thing that I need to do this kind of work? Well, the first thing I need to do is blah. And so there in a sense, you're kind of being moved by something, your idea or something like that. And so you actually kind of, it's directing you off in a certain way. So, okay, I got to do that, so that's what I'm going to do. Blah, blah, blah. But now let's suppose that you have enough confidence in reality and courage, open-minded, open-hearted. It's the will of God to be open-minded, open-hearted, but those things, and you're thinking about something to do. Well, I'm doing what I'm thinking about. I'm giving you a talk. That's what I thought I would do, and that's what I'm doing. So I don't have a question, and so forth and so on. So I'm not being directed by some other force in my being. I'm just giving you, a little talk, and communicating with you. So anyhow, the thing is, time is passing. This gift here has been here in the West since 1957. As you'll recall, there was signs of the gift. There was a great deal of life occurred in the 60s and up until about 75, and then kind of the darker forces got the upper hand again, and the people who got the gift, they got influenced by darker forces as well, some of them. But, actually, you don't need to be concerned about that, because the gift is something that just remain, use your common sense to remain ordinary. Or you become more ordinary. You might start out thinking you're quite the special person, but in the end, you realize what people who travel around the earth and are open-minded think, we're all the same. Yeah, we're the way that we operate in the system of the human being is the same. You get happy, you think a lot, you get tired, you form points of views based on the information that you get, more by inspiration, and so forth and so on. We all operate the same way, from the same things. And it's said that the human being, well, never mind that. But anyway, so so this gift is available. I challenge you, and I say to you, okay, so if you're just open-minded and you're open-hearted, you don't think about things, you're not cynical about, another bunch of baloney, and you think, well, should I accept this gift? Should I try it out? And you wait until you're kind of moved to respond. You respond, you don't react, and you say, this is great, let's do this. That would be the healthy response. That seems very difficult for you to do that. But I challenge you right now to ask yourself that question and wait until you have an actual living response and see what that response is. Because if everyone would take this up, then what it basically would mean is that you would consent to letting God restore you to your previous condition of being a true human being. Now, you can say that would be, that would be the best, because what do we even know? We know some stories that in the beginning, Adam and Eve, they were having a great time. They were living in paradise, let's just say, on the earth, because they were being guided by God. And then the story is kind of pretty simple and can easily be misinterpreted and misled, and think of God as some kind of guy, like a human being walks around and says, "Where's Adam?" Stuff like that. But God is the most subtle of all things, of course, much more subtle than you are. So Can't find God with your mind. But if you open up and you allow it to function, for instance, I can do that right now. I can allow God to function in me, and I'll show you what it looks like. Well, you've got to be happy, you've got to be glad, you've got to be, don't be glad, don't be sad. Do your worshiping God if you're glad or you're sad. But Allah, Allah, Allah. So wake up and love, so try to be kind, so do everything and don't follow your mind. Accept the gift and take it now. The time is running out. So the good news and the bad news. Well, that's coming from the Almighty. Yes, through me, as an ordinary person. Or you could speak from, how do you speak in heaven when you don't have, because your mind gets out, because the mind's limited, heaven is infinite. It's an infinite place, and so when you go to heaven, you have to talk and you have your mind. Let's see if I can do that. So, are you good? Do you feel good? Want something to eat? How are you? Worship God. Obey God. Heaven. Place you in heaven. Doesn't have a gender. I'm talking to you now. My voice has a male gender. I'm a male. So that's a male gender. But in heaven, you're a being. You don't have that gender. Well, I think that's about enough for now. Take it up. Time's wasting. You're missing out on the great life, the good life, on the life that's guided by God. And as far as Rousseau is concerned, it's interesting to read him because he does talk he sees very clearly the difference between being enslaved and being free and having liberty in the natural condition. He calls it natural, but it's a God-given. There's no such thing as natural. Natural is just a pagan word. There's no natural. There's what God created, and there's, what man does. And so in that natural condition, you have your freedom. You're free, and then, no, now you're not free because you have to work for Jake the devil, who, is trying to make money and whatever he's trying to do. Sometimes they're nice people, but they're still, on the whole, if they're not human, then they try to oppress and they try to get power. But God is the one who has the power. So just on a final note, I'll mention that people talk about having rights. They have the right to do this. They have the right to do that. They have unalienable rights. Well, yeah, sure, but the thing is, what I found in my journey is that the actual right that you have at any given moment is the right that God gives you. He gives you the right to say, boom, to do this. He gives you that right. So, for instance, like with your kids, as a father or a mother, at times you feel they do something, you feel it coming up in you from the right place. Johnny, stop. Don't do that. That's not good. Just, sit down, I'm going to talk to you. Well, other times the child may be doing something similar, and you find it annoying, but actually you can't ad-lib. That's an important thing. Don't ad-lib with your kids. If you don't feel, that right, don't use it. Because if it's not there, God is doing something with that child, you don't want to open your mouth and say something. And children are actually more spiritually developed than you are. They're older. And so, you're bringing them down. You're trying to hamstring them. They're actually doing something irritating you. That's they're pushing your buttons. They're helping you to grow. There's a test going on. You don't fail the test. I want my jacket. He's being rude. He's being demanding. He's being this and that. You can think of all kinds of things. I said, well, I don't know. Let's see. Where is your jacket? What's the last one did you hang it up? Is it in your room? I think it's in your room. No. I think that's his jacket. Why? Because he's allowed to be out of. He's a child, so he's allowed to be not quite perfect in his social responses. He doesn't get to. He doesn't. You can't expect him to be a grown-up. So your love for the child continues, and his acceptance of you continues. Okay, well, gosh, this is a long thing, and probably nobody will watch it. Maybe I'll divide it into 10-minute segments, so that you might be encouraged.